The jam bands. We're getting deep into it, Johnny. You ready?
Whittly-dee. Whittly-doo.
The importance of the ever-disparaged jam bands. This is Baxter's Guide for Dummies to how to get into jam bands. And if you haven't gotten into them yet, let's help you a little bit.
Run.
It might not be for you, but we're gonna have fun doing it anyway. So, as you know, I like some jam bands, but I found out, according to the young jam band fans, that I do not like all the cool new jam bands. I am not hip with jam bands anymore.
You're not hip. You're not hip.
I like the old school classic ones. But there's a whole series of subgenres that you made up a bunch. But
I just want to make a disclaimer that I appreciate all the jam bands, but they're so easy to make fun of. So I'm going to say some very disparaging things, but it's all in good humor.
With names like Squiddly D and Squiddly Dum and
Duck Noodle.
Dump your shorts.
If I had a new jam band, I would name it Duck Noodle. That's what it would be. I'm sorry.
This video was completely shot without any substances as well. That's another story. Okay, so let's start off with the classics. So here's a caveat to jam bands. It's hard to get into if you've gone and you've lived this static, sad life of not experiencing other things. So you gotta try to do it younger.
You're square.
You can, yeah.
You've never taken drugs.
It doesn't have to do drugs. It does help. But no, so let's talk about the classics. Obviously, numero uno is the Grateful Dead. You know, Jerry Garcia, Bob Weir, and the whole collective. Dead & Co. out there still doing stuff with the old Mayor Incorporated. But that's the icons. The sort of the blueprint. They came from the Asbury, like the whole San Francisco universe. They wrote, this is different than all jam bands. They wrote fantastic songs with the Grateful Dead. Really great songs. Coming out of some of the bluegrass tradition, which also strangely connects to the jam band universe. Very different than what a blues jam and whatnot does, because the categorization of what a jam band does is often it will evolve, devolve. You're not playing 1-4-5 patterns the whole way. You don't know where you're going to go. It can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Dark Star from the Dead can start off as a 6-minute song and end up 35 minutes later for the finale, and you don't even know it's over.
Or that it's the same song.
It ends with a whimper maybe sometimes.
Is this the same song?
No, so they started off, they wrote great songs, but then they would take them, they would jam them. It was part of the culture, it was part of the great hippie movement of America. The walls are breaking down, civil rights are on the horizon. It's amazing. The country's changing. That was sort of the spearhead for all. They have, Jerry's playing is very much, he weaves stories almost with his playing. It's very different than, he doesn't go for high notes and peaks. And it's not about chopping heads.
Do you think that and I think about this a lot with jam bands, or just longer, like improvised music, maybe stuff that I wouldn't even call jam bands, that it's just that people have such a smaller, like, attention sort of, time they can pay attention
maybe
to things.
Now, but I think that's the zen part of this. You don't have to listen to the live sprawling versions. This is going to freak out some of these jam band lovers right now. I know, just bear with me. It's took a lot for me to swallow, but this is the way to get people in. Bear with me. Go on your Apple's Music, listen to the essentials. I know, you're like, what? No, you gotta listen to this whole album live. Right. It's 73 in Paris. Or you gotta do this one. No, just listen to the essentials.
The definitive version.
I know, there's all that. That's later. That's when you're mainlining it right there. You know,
right.
Right now, we're just taking a little puff. Listen to the essentials of this. Now, jumping in from the Grateful Dead, let's jump over to Southern jam band culture for a little bit. The Allman Brothers. And you got Skinner as well, but let's say Allman, I think, are the kings of really weaving songs. Like when you hear like Whipping Post.
Yeah.
You know, there's really no greater like arrival. The way they did it was arrival and peak to this high point. Right?
And then they have set things to get out of that stuff. You know what I mean? Like the big walk downs or the little harmony things.
So we all know that's classic rock there, but here's how I'm going to tie you back into jam bands phase 2. Let's get into Phish for a minute. I think Phish almost has a more direct correlation to the Allman Brothers than it does the Grateful Dead, in the respect that there's a much more composed through line to their
theme,
their jams. Like, I mean, Phish is really composed, then they have their free-form moments, but like almost like Divided Sky, you listen to that, that's a note for note song, like throughout the entire run. And then they'll have a little bit of jamming in it, but and they might change it on the fly, but it's close.
It's kind of there.
Sort of like the Allman Brothers a lot of times. When you hear like what they were doing, like it gives them the freedom. It gives all the guys the freedom to do what they need to do within that. But go back to, I hate to say it now, Phish is tricky because they don't have the songs that are as accessible, I think, as Allman Brothers or the Grateful Dead.
Right.
They're much more zany. They're just hold your horses too, because it gets zanier when you get into today's age of jam.
Fluffhead.
Fluffhead.
What?
And then,
What?
Then Fluff's travels follows Fluff's.
That's right.
You know, but
I
Fluff.
feel like it should be a Kirby video game. You know what I mean? Like Kirby's Magic Adventures, and he's eating.
You were
things.
playing me that track that sounded like that earlier this morning.
It was a lot
new
like
indie
that.
track.
It's great.
That's another story. No, but the funny thing, we're saying Fluffhead and everything. That's one of their more accessible, easy to listen to songs too, and it's a goofy, zany ass name. You know, you get Divided Skies, one of their most played songs on their live. Phish is at their best live.
Yeah.
Grateful Dead, you go back to, they do great studio recordings. They have great live stuff. I almost love their studio stuff as much as their live stuff because it's just masterfully done.
I mean, I think most people would say the Allman Brothers are best live, right? Like
Right.
Probably most people who are crazy into the Allman Brothers, the live stuff is like the Fillmore East.
Yes.
Probably.
I was going to say, but I really like that studio album live at the Fillmore East.
Oh, sorry.
That one.
But I mean, like it's funny, right? Because like we were talking about this morning. We got into this long, drawn out jam of a conversation.
That's how these videos
We had
happen.
the jam band of a conversation. Like I don't think just having the guitar solo that has made me improvise makes a jam band. Or I don't think necessarily having a long song makes a jam band. Like Skinner, I don't think is a jam band at all. You mentioned them. Because you listen to the live stuff, it's just
It's pretty straight. Like in my mind, I think of them as a jam band,
but they're
really
not, man. The guitar solo, because when I thought I was going to do the Skinner tribute and I was learning all that stuff, it's like, oh, no, you have to play the exact solo.
Well, as we're getting off a little bit in a good way, and we're going to get right back to the lineage of this and how to get more into it, Phish, you got to listen to the live stuff. Don't worry about the records. It's pointless.
Screw it.
Go straight to live, and it's fun. They're all fun. Some are great, some are good, some are okay. Now, what is perhaps the most successful jam band in history?
We talked about this.
This is a band you do not think of as a jam band. Johnny?
It's the Dave Matthews Band.
The Dave Matthews Band is considered a jam band by the Dave Matthews Band.
Well, like I said, we were talking about it, and I was like, I think they're the outlier because they had so many hits. They were so beloved for a while. Now people hate them, make fun of them. But for a while there in the 90s, they were like, oh my God, the Dave Matthews Band. But live, man, they go on these long, I think Derek said his dad fell asleep during a 30-minute version of Ants Marching
With
at
two
a
hot
show.
babes right in front, embarrassing that high school Derek to his tears. No, but like, what's funny now? This is the fun part. But now we tie back to the lineage. Dave Matthews is happening at the same time as Phish's explosion,
Right.
and the same time as widespread panic. You know, the Panic explosion too. Who their manager is from our little small boat Summit. I think he was married here in this town actually too. And then you also have bands that sort of follow in that lineage. A little My Morning Jacket.
Yeah.
Which is another great jam band of sort of the classic. God, I hate to call them the patriarchs of the jam world. You know, because they are now.
Fun side note, if I got to pick who I think is like a pure jam band that's my favorite, it would be Widespread Panic. They're the one I probably enjoy the most.
No, because it was like, there's like Widespread and Phish. Like Widespread's like definitely like cooler.
Yeah.
You know, they have like that, they're much more in that brothers type thing. And Phish is a little bit zanier. I just always enjoyed Trey's playing. And this is the thing with
He's great. I do enjoy him as a player.
And here's where I connect him and the Allman Brothers a bit. It's like they always get to that sort of that peak. Phish is like jams like you know what I'm saying if you're a Phish guy or girl. But they always do that point in the moments, and there's always that arrival point. The Dead would kind of, the Dead could go, and it
kind of and not necessarily ever hit the climax, like Allman Brothers do.
Yeah, or if Phish does it. Widespread sort of more hits you with that wall of sound sometimes.
Fun side note about Trey as a player that made me really appreciate him. Like, I don't know if you ever listened to, there was I want to say it was well, I don't remember. But anyways,
him and Derek?
Trey and Derek, Tedeschi Trucks, and plus Trey did the whole Layla album live.
Wow. Yeah, I've not heard of that whole thing.
Well, it's on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever. You can listen to they released it as an album, as a tribute, and it is fantastic.
No. Amazing. And obviously Derek Trucks, and is that a jam band?
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I think it's a Southern jam band type style, because that's when they really come alive. When we saw them at Merlefest a few years back, it's the jam.
And I don't think I think that was a short, restrained set for them at Merlefest. Because sometimes, sometimes they let the horns go as well, right?
Go
and
for a
do,
bit.
kind of they get out there a little bit, which is fun.
I mean, now sort of we've entered the new age of like, Goose has sort of become like the most popular jam band of today. You've got Big Something. You got Squiggly Backs and Squiggly. Our band, and then there's Sneezy. That's a real name too. We were made
the Scooter. Sneezy was the one that Dylan loves that came through.
No, there's this great and the culture's still there. It's funny because it's almost like the '90s have restarted.
Well, I do feel like it's.
To make it up.
I kind of get it, right? Because I feel like if you go to jam band shows, it's like a cultural event, like a social event. You're not just going to a show. Like we might go see whoever, and it's like, okay, we went to the show, and now we're heading home. And I feel like if you go to a jam band and you're really into it, it's like a thing.
It's really fun. Yeah. It's like, and I don't go there and do the drugs, and I'm pretty lame. I go see the show, but I listen to music some. I don't listen to as much lately. I've been listening to a lot of different music. So I go through phases and cycles. I was really listening to Phish for like a solid 2 years, and I had to have a Phish detox. So it was just too much, I think. And I was like,
that was when you had your XM radio.
Yeah, I did. In my wife's car, I was like, oh, the Phish
You couldn't ride anywhere with Baxter because you got in and you're like, my God, what is happening?
I like that. Put it on just to mess.
I'll drive. It's fine.
Mess with the normals. No, here's the thing, and I can admit this too in the jam band world. It's tricky. Like they live so much in the live universe that once their live library is over and their live days are over, like some of them won't be as enjoyable as far as the studio records don't do it for a lot of these bands.
Well, we've talked about so many things. We've talked about this with guitar players. It comes down to having great songs, right? And I don't think there's actually anything wrong. Like when I appreciate a lot of the jam band stuff, and this goes for stuff like Joe Bonamassa too, even though I wouldn't call him a jam band,
Right. But he lives in that.
I just love guitar. I love that people can play guitar and do amazing things, and I love tones. So I'll go and enjoy that and not care anything about the songs after it's over. And I think a lot of jam bands fall into that for me, because I love the instrument. I think in fact sometimes I didn't enjoy the Dave Matthews jams as much because they're not guitar centric. It's horns and it's the violin and it's all that stuff.
What is this soft jazz? What? I don't want that. Oh, and if you've been enamoring these beautiful headphone stand and our
bit colder.
Or soap tray.
Could be a nice soap dish.
Our friend Rich sent this over to us.
Trays.
Thanks, Rich. We appreciate that.
What if you had pick-sized soaps? Little pick soaps.
God.
Now, my God.
Well, what are people going to be doing with those pick-sized soaps?
I don't know. You grab one and and then put them back. I don't know. It's fine. I'm sorry.
No, so as you're getting into this, it's a long journey. It's fun. There is a little club there too, and this is the one thing about it. They're the most probably welcoming and inclusive club you'll ever find. This is these are the nerds in high school that want to bring you in and party with you and hang out and love you and shower you with gifts, and you'll probably maybe even lose your virginity in this little circle.
Could happen.
Might not shave their legs or their armpits, but you gotta look past that sometimes. It's okay. There's a beauty right there, so don't judge.
That's perfect.
No, who says what's perfect nowadays? But no, it's a fun year. It's not that hard to get into. It seems daunting at first. If you're an old curmudgeon from Akron or something, it might be just tougher. To diss the Ohio people behind camera some, but it's pretty fun. It's an exciting world to get into. You might love it, you might hate it, but step your little toe in there and see what you think. Grateful Dead Essentials, Phish Live. Anything by My Morning Jacket's pretty fun.
Don't forget the old Humphreys McGee guys. They're fun.
Humphreys McGee is great. And you got Allman Brothers. There's so many great. I'm just trying. This is your baby steps in. Your baby steps in. The world is huge and large once you get there.
Just subscribe to nugs.net and you're good.
That's pretty much it.
That's all you got to do.
That's all I got to do. We should have said nugs.net. Video's over.
Done.
Click like, subscribe.
Easy. Hit the bell.
We're leaving. Peace be with you.
Maybe even Billy Strings.
Jam on. Wild Stallions, another great band. Check out Wild Stallions.
Goodbye.